What's going on, guys? It's Elias. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be exploring the 992 Carrera S. This is, of course, the Porsche 911. Now, recently, I was able to go to Monticello Raceway up in Poughkeepsie, New York, and I was able to drive this awesome Carrera S on the track. Now, as a C8 Corvette owner, as well as a Civic Type R owner, and I also own a Honda S2000, I've always kind of been curious about the Porsche 911s. Now, I have driven a convertible 911 before, a 991.1 convertible Carrera. Now, that is owned by my brother-in-law. He's an awesome guy. Align, if you're watching, love the car, man. He's also got a really sweet Mustang that I have to put in the channel. He restored himself. A classic Mustang. So in this video, we're going to be exploring what the limits of the 992 are in comparison to the C8 Corvette with the Z51 package. As you guys know, I do a lot of track driving here. So I've done Civic Type R track driving. I've done Honda Prelude track driving. I've taken my S2000 to the track. I haven't had a chance to take my Corvette to the track. And of course, I have another vehicle that I will be announcing very soon that I am going to take to the track as well. So I'm very big on track driving. I'm very big on sports cars, and I'm always looking to see what's out there and what's best out there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the C8 Corvette and how good it does. Then we're going to take a look at the 911 on track. We're going to talk about some of the comparisons, some of the positives and negatives that the 911 has over the Corvette, and then some of the things that I think the Corvette has on the 911. Let's go ahead and go through that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate when you guys do that. Now, at the end of the video, of course, I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts. So stay tuned to the end to get to that. All right, let's get started. So, the C8 Corvette with the Z51 package. I bought mine for MSRP. Mine's a 2020 from my local Chevy dealership back in late 2020. It was an awesome car. And for about $70,000 out the door, including taxes, it's really an unbeatable car. I can't tell you how good it is. I mean, it's just one of the best cars out there for the money, if you can get it for MSRP, of course. It's got extremely fast 0 to 60 times. It's very fast on the corners. It's very comfortable. It's very pliable. And overall, it looks really good. I mean, everyone always kind of stares at it when you're driving around, so it brings attention. You can't help but to look back at it when you're driving around and you're parking it and you kind of go get groceries or whatever you're getting. Yes, it has space for groceries. It's got the front. It's got the rear hatch as well. I mean, it's just got so many things going for it. It's an awesome, awesome car. So, the 5 biggest positives of the C8 Corvette when comparing it to the 911. Number 1, price. You're going to spend at least, at the very minimum, $20,000 to $30,000 more to get basically a base Carrera. When comparing it to the Carrera S, you're going to be spending around $40,000 to $50,000 more, and that's quite a significant jump. So price, number 1, I would say, along with that, price is value. The second one is it's fast. I mean, with that 6.2 liter LT2 engine, you're pushing almost 500 horsepower. and it's basically got at least 100 horsepower over the Porsche 911, which is a significant amount, and it's extremely fast. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be that much faster than a Carrera S. Porsche really knows what to do with its horsepower numbers, and I think they're undervalued in my opinion. So, if in terms of speed, you're going to be, one to one for the most part for the Carrera S versus the Z51. Now, this car is mid-engined. So at the track, I actually prefer a mid-engine car to a rear-engine car, the Carrera S being a rear engine. So that's number 2. Number 3, the looks. Now, a lot of people prefer that Porsche look. I'm not one of them. I actually prefer the way the C8 Corvette looks. It's got a much more aggressive front end. It's got a very aggressive side profile. You know it's a C8 Corvette from far away. Now, some people may say that it looks too similar to a McLaren or a Ferrari. I think that's a good thing to have. Now, again, this is subjective, not objective, so some people do prefer that Porsche look. I actually like the way the Porsche looks, but I prefer the way the Corvette looks. Number 4, the lack of exclusivity. Now, I know with supply chain issues and with globalism dying and China going away, all the supply chain issues are causing us to not be able to buy these Corvettes. But even with that, the exclusivity is really not there. And what do I mean by that? Well, any guy or girl can go to a Chevy dealership and he or she can plunk down a deposit and buy themselves a C8 Corvette. That's exactly what I did. I did have a previous relationship with the dealership. I've bought a Colorado ZR2 from them. But even if I didn't, I would have been able to go up to him. His name is Bobby over at Gray Chevrolet in Pennsylvania. Awesome dude. Give him my deposit, and I would have been able to order my C8 Corvettes. Try getting yourself, for example, a Carrera S in less than a year's time frame. God forbid you go for a GT3 or GT4. I really don't like that exclusivity factor that Porsche has. Oh, we're so expensive, we're so high-end, we're so exclusive, we're so rare. I despise that. I really don't like when car companies bill themselves that way. That's why I would never own a Ferrari. That's not my style at all. I want to be able to just go to a dealership with my money in hand and purchase the vehicle that I want. Again, supply issues aside, the lack of exclusivity is actually a huge positive for the C8 Corvette. I hope to see hundreds of thousands of these on the road one day. That would be ideal for me. Some people hate that. Some people want their cars to be super exclusive. I'm the opposite of that. If anybody and everybody can buy it, I'm happier. The final piece of this is, again, subjective, is the fact that this is a V8. I'm a big fan of the V8 sound. I prefer flat plane V8 sounds from the Ferrari or the future C8 Z06, but I'd still prefer V8s over flat 6s. The Porsche uses flat 6, and they have a kind of like a metallic tinny sound at the higher end of the rev range, which is nice. I'm not going to deny it. It's actually pretty nice, but I prefer how V8 sounds. All right, enough of the Corvette. Let's go ahead and have me drive the 911 Carrera S on track. So as we set off here, of course, this is going to be a lead follow. So if you've ever been to a Porsche event, they do a lead follow. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't go fast. You go pretty dang fast in these lead follow events. My wife's actually all the way at the front driving a Panamera Turbo S, which was very impressive to her. And she actually is a Porsche gal now after this drive. But the question is, am I a Porsche guy after driving this car at Monticello Raceway? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to be taking a look at how the car drives and how it sounds. And honestly, first of all, the interior, you just kind of fit into it like a glove. So let's start off with the 5 things that I prefer on the 911, 992 Carrera S over the Corvettes. And number 1 is the interior. While I love the Corvette Z51 interior, the C8 Corvette interior, I gotta say, I actually like the 911 interior more. I like the way it's laid out way more. I like the way it kind of just fits like a glove. Look at it. I mean, it's just fit to purpose. The only thing I really don't like about the 992 specifically is all of the touch capacitive buttons and the touch screen and all that crap. It drives me nuts. I prefer the 991 wall of buttons. So If it were my money, I'd probably get a 991 just for the better interior buttons. But outside of that, just in terms of ergonomics and the way everything comes to hand, it's a really good place to be, especially if you're a sports car driver. I can see myself driving this thing forever. Number 2 on the list, this is going to be obvious to everybody, but the PDK on the Porsche 911s they're just better, unfortunately, than the dual clutch transmissions found in the C8 Corvettes. I don't know what secret sauce the Germans use, but this ZF transmission, or the ZF developed transmission, alongside the 911 engineers, I mean, those guys know exactly what they're doing when it comes to precision, and my God, does the PDK do extremely well. The transmission in the 911 is definitely better than the transmission in the C8 Corvette. I'm not saying that the C8 Corvette transmission is bad at all. It's not. It's excellent. So if I never drove a 911, I would have never thought there could have been a better transmission than the one in the C8. After driving the 911, for sure the PDK wins. Now, it's a very minute difference. It's not a crazy difference. It's not gonna make a difference on lap times, let's say. But it's just the crispness of it. It just feels like it's surgical almost. Number 3 is going to be stability under acceleration. Now, mid-engine cars like the C8 Corvette do extremely well under acceleration because the engine's in the back, gives a lot of traction to the rear. But having the engine all the way in the back, like the Porsche 911 does, the 992, it just changes. It's a game changer. You can put your foot down. There's no worries about the back end stepping out on a straight line. It just pulls and pulls and pulls. This is why the Turbo S version of this car beats everything. I mean, it just beats every single internal combustion engine car out there in a drag race. It's all-wheel drive. It's got the engine in the back. It's got immense amount of grip. It's incredible. So when it comes to rear grip and acceleration and stability, the 911 takes it. Number 4, this has back seats. The C8 Corvette doesn't. Now, it may not be a big deal for most people out there, especially the ones that are retiring and buying their sports cars, like a lot of boomers I know. They like their sports cars and they're buying a lot of them right now. But having back seats as a new father, that's a huge plus. And not having back seats in my Corvette, well, it poses a bit of a problem. It means that I'll never be able to put somebody in the back, like my daughter or my future other kids, and that's something to think about. The Porsche 911 has that, the Corvette doesn't. Finally, number 5, weighing about 300 pounds less than the C8 Corvette, this 911 992 feels a lot more nimble. You really do feel it. It's just a much more nimble car. It's a smaller car, and that's priceless. I mean, having a nimble car on the track is just so much more fun. So, I went into the 911 drive with an open mind. I didn't expect much, to be honest with you. I always thought it was just a lot of hype around the 911. There's just a lot of, oh, I'm so exclusive. Look at me. I own a 911 type of thing. And I drove my brother-in-law's 991.1 convertible. And it was fast and it was fun. Don't get me wrong. But after really driving this on track, that's when I really realized that the secret sauce to the 911 is in its nimbleness, in its preciseness, the transmission, the usability, the everyday usability. You could put, people in the back seats, young kids really. It's got a front trunk, just like the C8 Corvette does, but it just feels like it's something that you can use every day, take it to the track, and it's well engineered. Now, I'm not saying the Corvette isn't the C8 Corvette, but I do have to admit, after driving this 911 Carrera S, I did build one online to see if I could maybe get one through a Germany delivery. So, it's very tempting, and it's especially after you drive one on the track, man, it really livens up. I really have to admit. Alright, so final thoughts on C8 Corvette versus 992 Carrera S. Now obviously the price difference is going to be the biggest thing here. For the price, for the money, you can't beat the value that the C8 Corvette brings. It really is unbeatable. If you can find one for MSRP, you have to order it in advance. It takes 6 to 8 months or longer sometimes to get it delivered, depending on which dealership you order from. But if you're able to get it at MSRP, you can get a really awesome Corvette. You can get a really awesome sports car for the money. $70,000 to $75,000 would get you a 2LT with a Z51 package. That's all you really need, right? $75,000, maybe $80,000 out the door, right? So for $80,000 out the door, you're getting an awesome package. If you look at the Carrera S's, let's say you can get one for MSRP. It's the same deal. You have to order it. You have to wait a year. It is what it is at this point. But let's say you can order one for MSRP. It's still going to cost you around $130,000, $135,000 out the door. And that's before any options. Let's say you put a couple of options on there. You put the Sport Chrono package. Maybe you get some nice, some better seats. You're in the 140s possibly. That's a whole another $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 difference between the C8 and Z51. Now, is the 911 a better car? Yes, it's definitely a better car. If you take the money out of it, it's a faster car. It's going to be a lot better made, in my opinion. I'm not saying the C8 is not amazingly made. I think it's very well made. I'm actually proud that it's made in America. That's the other thing. I prefer that it's made in America. But the 911 992 Carrera S, it's in another league, and as we'd expect, right? It's $40,000 to $50,000 more. Now, if it were my money, if money were no object, if I was looking for a sports car, something that I would take to the track, something as like a second or third or fourth car just to have, honestly, I would take the Corvette. That's what my choice would be, even throwing the price differences out. Let's say if somebody was giving you a free 911 Carrera S or a free C8 Z51, and you had three other cars that you can use as daily, the Corvette would be it, man. The magnetic ride, it just rides so well. I love the V8s. It's an awesome car. However, If I had to choose a sports car that also had to be my daily driver, something that I could take my kids around every once in a while, right, to the park or pick them from school or go to the airport or go do the grocery run, something that I'd have to use to get basically anywhere. If I needed to drive to Orlando from Jacksonville, if I needed to even drive up, all the way to New York from Florida, if I had to do one car to do all of that, it would have to be the 911. Currently I have a BMW 335D, that's a diesel. I have an X5, I have a Honda S2000, and I have other cars as well. And, for me, the Corvette just fit better. But if I only had that one car to do it all, the 911 Carrera S, that's where it's at. There you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I enjoyed putting it together for you. It's a bit long, but I felt it was worth the discussion pieces and the discussion points. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you do. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.